In this video, we will show you how to replace your power steering return line on this Ford F-150. This will be located along the driver's side of your engine compartment. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. The first thing we're going to do is make our way under the hood to our power steering reservoir. Along the top, you're going to have your power steering cap. Go ahead and turn that counterclockwise. We'll give it a quick inspection and we can rest it on top. Now at this point, when you're doing your hose, it's a good idea to replace as much fluid as possible, especially if the fluid that's in the system has been in there for a while. So with that said, let's make our way safely under the front of the vehicle so we can start draining some fluid. Now we're under the front of the vehicle. We can see our power steering cooler. We're going to start draining the power steering system by loosening this 6mm headed clamp. On this one, you can also use a flat blade screwdriver. Just a quick inspection of that clamp. If it looks like it's rotted and weak, replace it. Now we're going to follow that line to its mounting point along the front of your frame. We want to separate this. I'm just using an angled pick. You can use pretty much anything as a small prying device. Just make your way in between the groove. Now once you have some movement from that, we can continue on removing this line from that cooler. We can use a hose pick if necessary to break this free. Just be careful not to cause any damage. Now fluid will come out of this area. We have our collection receptacle handy. We'll angle this down to drain our fluid. Now let's pause under the vehicle and we're going to make our way back up into the engine compartment. Now looking at the power steering reservoir, if you were looking at the bottom, you're going to find that you have two hoses. One's considerably thinner than the other. That's the one we're going for. We're using our 6mm for that clamp. We're going to attempt to break this free. Now keep in mind, you do want to make sure that you do not have any fluid inside the reservoir. It will come out and potentially make a mess. Now that we have that hose separated from our power steering reservoir, we're going to follow the hose all the way down. You can see where the line is connected to our frame. There's a plastic connector. For this, we're going to be using an angled pick to dislodge it. Following the line down, we can see our plastic clip. It has a locking tab. You want to press in on this right here and pry it out of place. This one's actually dislodged pretty simply, but typically you just want to press on it, and I like to use some leverage. I'm pressing up against this power steering hose right along here. We'll pause up inside the engine compartment so we can make our way under the vehicle. Now from under the vehicle, we have a lot of movement. Of course, we do have our metal line that's pre-bent, so you're going to have to try to lean this and tilt it as necessary to pull it out of position. We'll just bring this around and start working it out. There it is, friend. Now we're going to have a quick look at our original power steering return line in comparison to the brand new one. There's just a couple things that I like to transfer over. If you have any type of rubber spacer, it's a good idea to transfer those over to the brand new line. These are typically going to be in places that the line runs near something, such as the frame. For this, of course, I do like to use some sort of lubricant, something that's going to prevent moisture from staying inside this area. We'll just work that around. We'll continue on to the next one here. It's the same process. Just go ahead and pull that right out of place. Get that installed on the line. Now on the original line, we do still have our clamp, so I'm just going to transfer that over as well. Let's get this on the vehicle. Okay, now it's time to install that brand new line. As for the upper portion of the line, you can see I applied some electrical tape here. That's just to protect the end so no miscellaneous debris makes its way inside of my power steering system. We'll start bringing this up into position. We're going up along the frame, going up into the engine compartment next. Try to be careful for those brake lines. Now we should be able to pivot this as necessary so we can get everything properly aligned in place. Let's start securing that return hose to our power steering cooler. Bring this in, press it on as far as possible, continue on with your clamp. As for this clamp, we want to make sure it's snug to the point you cannot turn the hose, but not tighten to the point that it actually strips out the clamp, otherwise you have to replace it. Okay, right there is bottomed out. Not too much pressure here. Make sure there's no movement. Now, after confirming that that's tight, let's make our way over here to our mounting point. We're going to latch this in. Now we're up inside the engine compartment, and the first thing that I like to do is use a long pry bar. Looking along the side of the power steering pump and the frame, directly in between the two is where we can see our meeting point. We want to make sure we press the line into that plastic bracket. Reach down by hand. Should be able to get that lined up. Now this is where I like to use the bar. It gives me a little bit of a leverage here. You can, of course, just reach down by hand if necessary. There we are. Apply some pressure there. Before going any further, take hold of the line, give it a wiggle, ensure it's properly secured. That should not fall out of place. Now we can make our way all the way up to where this hose connects to the bottom of the power steering reservoir next. Just get that tape off of there. Now for this hose, you can trim it as necessary, but it's typically a good idea to leave some slack in the hose. You should have just enough. Bring this up onto that reservoir. We're pressing it as far as possible. Before tightening the clamp, ensure the hose is not touching up against anything that might damage it in any way. Let's make sure we have the hose clamp in the proper position. We want it up close to the top of the hose, but definitely want to be able to see hose on both sides of the clamp. Okay, right there is bottomed out. We're just going to take it a tiny bit further, minimal pressure here. We don't want to cause any damage. Attempt to remove the hose from the bottom of the reservoir. It must be secured. Now back at the reservoir, it's time to fill our power steering fluid. We want to make sure we have it up to par right up along this area. To do this, we're going to use the manufacturer's specified fluid directly in this port. As we start bringing it in, you're going to find that air bubbles are going to start making their way up and out of the system. As that happens, fluid will continuously go down. We'll have to keep topping this off along the way. For now, let's do an initial top off. Now, once you have your fluid up to the top level here, the next thing I always like to do is safely raise and support the front wheels off the ground. Continuing on, you can put the key in the on position without starting the vehicle and turn the steering wheel all the way from one side to the other. Repeat that process several times and the power steering rack is going to end up forcing all the air out of the system for you. Now, after repeating that process until I saw no more air making its way out of the system here, I'm going to top off the fluid right up to my maximum line. Get our manufacturer's specified fluid. Reinstall your power steering reservoir cap. Okay friend, we finished our installation. The next thing we need to do is make sure that we've cleaned all of our mess. After that, start the vehicle, let it run for a short while, and make sure you don't hear any odd noises. If you hear an odd humming or a whining noise, more than likely you still have air in the system and you need to continue the bleed. Aside from that, just double check to make sure you have no leaks, close the hood, take your vehicle for a road test. Thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.